made you want to commit to something like a podcast that requires so much investigation?
I really enjoy history. I have a history background. I actually did my undergraduate with a major in history and criminology. So I've spent a lot of time researching, spending a lot of time in libraries. So I find that kind of fun and engaging. I have to say, pinball is a lot more exciting because it's a topic that I really enjoy. However, when you're as good as I am at creating content, it just flows.
What kind of editing process do you typically go through for your podcasts?
Yeah, editing is probably the most difficult part when it comes to actually editing the conversation between Ron Hallett and I, because you got to make it sound like it flows very well. But in fact, it's actually cut up quite a bit. We spend a majority of I spend the majority of my time actually working on the scripting. So people can't really tell that there's a lot of scripting to Silverball Chronicles. But if uh, if you were to look at the show notes that I developed, they're about 5,000 words each episode. So that comes out to about 3 hours worth of chit chat, which I can edit down to about 2 or 2.5 hours.
What got you into pinball?
Yeah, so I used to play pinball when I was 5 or 6. When I would travel on vacation from my province of New Brunswick to Prince Edward Island, we used to take the ferry across, and there would often be pinball machines in the arcade on the ferry. How I ever played pinball on a boat, no idea. But of course, pinball collapsed and died, and I hadn't heard of it until 2018. At that time, I was on vacation in Nova Scotia, and I got a flat tire on my way back from a convention. So I had to spend an extra night in Halifax. When I was there, the hotel I stayed at had an old arcade like the ones we used to have when we were a kid. And it had a lot of those old machines. And it was like, wow, I can't believe these things are still around. And then a quick Google search turns up, locals here in my own city that have pinball machines and host tournaments, and then it spiraled out of control.
Awesome. That's a really cool story. Here's a good
Right.
one. What podcasts do you listen to?
Sure. Let me crack out my phone here. I'll just take a look at some of the podcasts I listen to.
Okay.
I have a very eclectic mixture, I think, of the podcasts that I do here. I listen to The Checkered Flag, which is the BBC Formula One F1 podcast, and Box of Neutrals out of Australia, which is an F1 podcast. I listen to almost everything on TPN because Zach Meddy makes me. Pinball Profile with Jeff Teolis is a pretty regular listen. I listen to an interesting Canadian podcast called Taggart and Torrens.
Okay.
Listen to Slam Tilt Podcast, which is my co-host Ron Hallett and Bruce Nightingale's podcast. Listen to Meet the Press and State of the Union every Sunday morning. Podcast Beyond, which is the PlayStation podcast, and I'll often listen to the NPR Politics podcast.
And I've seen some of your videos on Facebook. What is it that you do for a living?
Yeah, so in my real life, I'm a retirement planner, financial planner, if you will, an investment broker, insurance broker. So I encompass quite a few things, but what I do is I help our clients live their dreams by providing them with advice, education, and organization around their life matters and anything with a dollar sign.
Where did the feud between you and Joel start?
Well, it's no secret, George, that Joel is the worst person in pinball. I don't know if it ever actually just started somewhere. I think it's just a natural thing when somebody is just a horrible human being that you try to let other people know so that they can avoid that trap.
Okay, Joel's a trap. Got it. What type of cookie best describes you?
Oh, the best type of cookie that describes me is like a gluten-free cookie because I'm celiac, which is just the worst. It's got like chocolate on the bottom and a cookie on top. It's so good. It's like a graham cracker. So
Does that kind of
great.
cookie have a name? You've got me all intrigued now.
Yeah, I gotta go get the box now.
Oh, okay.
I was cutting it. Check this out. Okay, here we are. This is a gyar. Gyar. It's got an umlaut. I don't know what an umlaut does, but it is dipped chocolate cookies made with butter and sea salt. I didn't want to seem like an elitist here. I'm a
Right.
man of the people, George. Not like Joel, that piece of garbage.